Our next speaker is Mario Juric. Mario is director of the Dirac Institute at the University of Washington and a professor over there. He's also a member of the Scalable Cyber Infrastructure for Multi-Messenger Astrophysics Group, or SEMA, and he'll be telling us about their work on the Hopskotch project. Mario.
Thank you, Gautam. Yes, I'll be telling you something about more broadly about SEMA and multi-messenger astronomy cyber infrastructure and how that relates to the Rubin broker ecosystem. So as Gautam said, I'm Mario Juric. I'm one of the co-Is of the SEMA Institute Conceptualization Project. This is a 2-year project to understand how we can enable and support the data flow and collaborative networks of people and instruments in multi-messenger astronomy. These institutions involved, plus numerous other collaborators. And the idea here is to understand how to make MMA better, more efficient. This is a storyboard that Andy Howell put together, which I just adore, that I think kind of fairly explains how MMA works today. You receive an alert, you panic, you trigger whatever you have approved, you start looking out for people who can give you more time, establish collaborations. Once all of that is done, you still have to figure out how to download all the data from 10 different archives. And then finally, when you processed all of that, you communicate information to the community. While you're doing all this, you pray that not another MMA event doesn't show up at the same time. This is what we would love to have in tomorrow. You receive alert, you telescope automatically observes the target, negotiates priorities, acquires data. Those are automatically reduced, and then machine and humans make inferences and then repeat all of that to gather a large populations of these objects. So this is a part of the vision that SEMA is trying to work towards. And we had about 2-year community consultation period during which these 4 things have been identified as critical things that are missing in that context. So scalable pub subsystems to enable real-time exchange of data. So both alerts, but not just alerts, telescope commands, telemetry, anything that needs to stream in real time. An identity and access management to be able to share data as needed, create ad hoc collaborations. Streaming and archival services. Matthew just pointed out how critical it is to have an archive to which one can refer when doing analysis of new sources. And this is what we would like to set up for MMA. And then enable rich analysis through science platforms. This is only a 4-minute talk, so I don't have time to go into all of this. I'm just going to briefly advertise Hopskotch, which is one of the technologies developed here, because I think it could be of interest to the brokers, broker teams. What Hopskotch is, it's an idea to make reliable streaming simple to implement based on all the experiences we gather on ZTF and LSST development. It's Python on the front end, Kafka on the back end, and cloud service or on-prem. Here's an example of what an application looks like that connects to the stream. And really the important bits are just these last 5 lines. We made streams look like Python files. This makes it easy to build reliable systems, and applications built on top of this technology can actually be made protocol and serialization agnostic. So you can swap out Kafka for something else. How does SEMA fit into the LSST story? First of all, let's talk about what SEMA isn't. SEMA is not an LSST broker. We will not be receiving alerts from LSST. If anything, we'll be triggering LSST with TO observations of very promising MMA events. SEMA will be mostly receiving events from the large multi-messenger observatories. SEMA is an endpoint to receive and send and receive those events. So LSST brokers may actually subscribe to SEMA to receive MMA messages and then correlate them to other messages that they're receiving, or can return enriched messages into SEMA, whether some or other object has been actually seen in ENM. SEMA will provide an MMA event archive. Again, this is one of the things that we learned on ZTF, just how important that is. Brokers may use this archive, directly call into it to correlate with past MMA events. And TOMs may use it to display MMA-specific contextual information when planning observations. And finally, what SEMA is going to serve as is a technology provider. So maintenance of streaming libraries, making sure that Hopskotch is upgraded and ported to different technologies, that technologies change, operation of Hopskotch servers, and then consulting and assistance when you need to implement a streaming system. And on that last note, here's an example of what we did what we finished just 2 weeks ago. We engaged with the SNOOS team, which is Supernova Early Warning System. This is a project to alert the community very rapidly on a galactic supernova if one shows up. Those are expected every 50 to 100 years. And what we're looking for here is using this as a prototype of future engagement model. What we did here was we detailed 2 SEMA team members to this SNOOS team for about 1 quarter to really bring them up to speed very quickly and produce prototypes. So looking forward to similar engagements with the LSST broker community to enable you to interface to SEMA and make LSST work well with the MMA ecosystem. So thank you, and I'll stop here.
Thank you so much, Mario. We have time for maybe one quick question before we go to break.
We have one question here from Julian. Who is deciding on the MMA archive that SEMA will provide? Will it be a community discussion or it already exists?
I'm sorry, in what sense do you mean who has decided?
Julian?
Is it what the contents of it is going to be, or?
Yes, no, yes, exact. So you say SEMA will provide MM archive, but what does that mean? It will provide. Is that a discussion with the different actors, or is it SEMA that decide on the format, on the technology?
So there's a series of discussions and monthly phone calls that is happening right now that are all public, where all these technologies are being discussed. I think it's every first Tuesday of the month. The link is on sema.org. So it's based on that 2-year planning period, and now the continuing discussions and the prototypes that people are starting to use. For example, Treasure Map is looking to hook into this archive. That's how we'll end up with some sort of early first release system. But it's definitely an incremental process. It's not something that we were just going to put out there together and say you have to live with it.
Okay.
Thank you, Mario. We don't have time for a whole lot more questions. Please ask them in Slack. I do want to draw your attention to a link that Francisco has posted in both chat and on Slack, which asks you to respond to a poll to decide which breakout room to open for the next session. Thank you to all of our speakers in this session again, and we'll see you shortly.